how we doing, guys? My name is Ross.
I'm Chris. I'm Jordan.
Martisha Bush.
And I'm Rosa Garner, the owner of the house.
And we're here today on October the 3rd to do mold treatment in the east side of Houston.
Yeah, so what we're here to do today is we're here to treat mold that's inside our home and take care of any other issues that are inside our home as well.
All right, so we're here at Rosa's home in North Shore, Texas. As you can see, it's been affected by Harvey. We had some flooding here, about a foot of water in this home and the surrounding neighborhood. They've already got this house set up to treat the mold. As you can see, we have about a foot or so of the sheetrock has been totally taken off throughout the whole home. All right, so coming through the hallway, just in the beginning of the home, you can see we have the laundry room here, all the way into the kitchen. The water has totally affected every area of this home. We're going to have to do a full concrobium treatment throughout the home just to protect it from any kind of mold growth. It's typical of this area and the water damage that it was experienced.
So when it comes to treating mold using a concrobium solution, you only need a handful of items. First and foremost, you're going to want to make sure you have a respirator mask of at least an N95 rating or above to stop all the particles from the mold, from the sheetrock, and any mist left over from the concrobium, anything at all. Take another step further, you want to have some kind of hand protection in case you touch affected areas that have mold on them still. If you haven't already taken out the sheetrock, now's a good time to find out the tool you're going to need to be using. And here is a serrated sheetrock knife. It's double-sided. Go ahead and cut out the sheetrock. Make sure you're going to line it first. We have two types of sprayers that we're going to use. We have the pump and wand, which seems to be the favorite of most people. You know, they use it for weed killers, anything else. Just make sure you're using a clean one for the concrobium. You don't want to mix chemicals. We also have a more handheld portable one for getting those hard to reach areas. And then so for some more information on the concrobium itself, we have Jordan.
So, as Ross was saying, he just demonstrated and showcased all the equipment needed to get this project and this done. As we all know, Hurricane Harvey hit us really badly, and we're actually in Rosa's home right now. We're actually about to enact cleaning and fixing all the mold in the areas that are affected in her home. So for starters, what we need to do is we need to open up the mold concrobium cleaner. And we're going to use this one today. Again, like Ross stated before, this is a handheld pump-up sprayer, and this is a wand sprayer. You can find all these items at Home Depot, Lowe's, or Ace Hardware. So for starters, what we're going to do is we're going to open the wand pump-up sprayer. Now what you want to do is straight out of the bottom, out of this gallon right here, you want to pour directly into it. You do not want to mix it with water or any other solution. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pour the concrobium inside of our pump-up sprayer. We're going to fill it all the way, majority to the top. And again, you do not want to mix it with water or any other solution. You pour it directly in. This is not harmful to animals, pets. Sorry. This is not harmful to animals or humans, but as an added safety precaution, we're doing the mask, the respiratory mask, and the gloves. So that's what we have it poured in. We're going to put in our pump-up sprayer. Again, all these items you can find at Home Depot, Lowe's, or Ace Hardware. Going to pump it up a couple times, and then we're going to get started. So let's get started, everybody. So if you haven't done so, inside the home, if there's anything, obstruction, or any object that's up against a wall or anything like that, make sure this whole room, as you can see from here, make sure all the objects and everything are moved to the center of the room, as you can tell right here, before you start spraying. So we're going to start spraying now. So for added safety precaution, I'm putting on my gloves and my respiratory mask. I have a pumper spray here. So what we need to do is with the wand, all the areas that are open from the sheetrock, what we need to do is we need to spin a nice layer of the concrobium mold on the wood. Just get it nice and wet. You don't have to soak it. You just need to spray the area that was affected from the storm. could take up to about 5 to 6 hours to dry. Once it's dried inside the wood, it'll take about a day or two, and it can kill all the bacteria and mold that could possibly grow inside this wood and the walls, which could cause damage to the home. So as you can see, I'm spraying all the affected areas. Do not worry about electrical that's on the walls. It's not going to hurt anything. Yeah, exactly.
Hi, I'm Letitia. I'm spraying some Corrovium down on the baseboards of the study room and doing the mold treatment.
So what Artisha is doing is in the study, she's spraying all the studs and where all the baseboards used to be in the exposed area where that was affected from the hurricane. Spraying all the inners and outer parts of the studs so that it can cure overnight.
Alright guys, so here we are in Rose's master bedroom. We're just going to go ahead and make sure we hit every inch of it. All the studs, covering every bit of the wood, making sure there's no part left undone. Careful not to spray directly into any outlets or anything like that. Get a nice coat all over the wood. Make sure there's no mold that'll be sitting untreated.
So now we're in Rosa's master bathroom, and Ross, again, is spraying all the affected areas where we got a foot of water from Hurricane Harvey. He's getting all the studs from all the open sheetrock that the crew before us came in and opened up for us. So he's wanding and spraying all the areas, doing a nice coat pan like he did in the master bedroom. Again, this will take up to 5 to 6 hours to soak in the wood, and about a day to 2 for it to fully cure to all the bacteria and mold. Ross is in a guest bedroom. Again, there are open walls from the foot of water that came in here. We're spraying all the studs and woodwork, covering all the areas with a nice pan, spraying all the areas that could possibly be affected or are already affected. Okay, so we have an affected area in the home to actually demonstrate and showcase what mold looks like. So if you come and follow me here. So in her home, in the closet area, so the early stages of mold, they usually have a black distortion or gray distortion of spots from affected by water. So this area right here, as you can tell, the roof lining in her home is actually coming down based off these cracks that are happening because the water is creating a puddle. So what we need to do is we need to cut out this affected area, and then we need to spray for the concrobian mold treatment so that it kills this bacteria and this mold from ever growing. Okay, so since I explained what the early stages of mold look like, this is a great prime example. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have Chris come in here with a sheetrock knife, and he's going to cut out this entire area so we can then go ahead and treat it.
Alright, so I'm going to make an incision just so I can kind of find the location up in the attic. Alright. Alright, so I just made a small incision, that way I can stick my hand in there without damaging any studs like that. Make sure I find the location of them, that way we can take the sheetrock out without harming any other parts of the house.
So what Chris is doing is he's cutting out the affected area that we found in the home of the early stages of the mold. He's cutting the sheetrock out, and insulation that is above the affected area also needs to be cleaned out as well because that's also could be affected.
And this is one reason you definitely want to have your mask on if you're going to be doing any sheetrock work. The concrobium isn't toxic, but doing things like this can definitely cause some at least allergy problems, if not health problems.
Once this whole area is ripped out, we will then demonstrate and show you how to spray this area that's affected, okay? You
want to make sure and dispose of anything that could carry mold spores or any kind of bacteria from the flood. So whenever you are removing sheetrock, things like that, just make sure to get all the debris out of your house afterwards.
So here's all the excess debris from the closet area that was affected. Did a nice square cutout into the attic. And now we're going to spray all the studs and all the wood so that can be treated as well. So what Chris is doing is he's sweeping all the added sheetrock. So what Chris is doing here is he's sweeping up all the added sheetrock, debris, and insulation from all the corners. Trying to clean up the area that was affected. Also make sure that the floor is nice and clean before we spray. Now starting. Good. Okay, so after Chris swept up all the debris, sheetrock, and insulation off the floor, and we cleaned up this whole area, after cutting out the affected area that we showed in the beginning stages of mold, now we're going to spray the affected area, all the sheetrock. Just spray all of it. Do a nice pan, a nice coat.
Be right underneath it.
Make sure you don't get in the cover fire. Come off to the side and spray it all. Spray the edges. And that's good.
So here we have a mold spot in the garage. This is the underside view of it. We're fixing to go up top, show you a view, and then we're going to treat it with the concrobium. Alright, so here we have a, looks like where they did some construction and put a hole through the ceiling. And it's been dripping down, and this is the spot in the garage that we saw in the earlier.
Black mold, people.
I don't know if that's...
Have you started already?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're up in the attic, right above that garage mold spot. There's a lot of stuff in the garage. We're not going to be able to pull that sheetrock out. Also, because if you look right here, the actual cause of that problem is a mechanical roof problem, so it's not going to be fixable. You know, if we pull the sheetrock out, the water will just be directly in the garage. So we're going to leave that to the professional sheetrockers, but we are going to go ahead and lay down a layer of concrobium just over the wood in this affected area. Let me give it a couple. While this won't stop the leak, it should take away that mold growth and make the leak a lot less dangerous. So there we go. Just all this wood that's been affected, and right on top of some of that sheetrock. Alrighty, that ought to do it.
So Chris, Ross, and I are taking all the damaged items that were in Miss Rose's home out to the street, the curbside, so trash man can come pick it up. Here are some damaged goods that happened during Hurricane Harvey in Miss Rose's home that we're clearing out of her house to put to the curb, so the trash guy can come pick it up.